Welcome everyone. This is Richard Kuhns, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons, chronic Lyme, and other skin parasites. Welcoming you to the Morgellons event of the week along with my co-host Robin. Hi Robin, how are you today?
I'm good, Richard, thanks.
All right. Well, now that we got my technical problems straightened out, I'm online here to have a great call. We have a fantastic subject today. And you know, the only reason why I'm here, Robin, and everybody else has gotten their lives back, the only reason we're here is the King Diet. Without that diet, I wouldn't have written a book, wouldn't have a protocol, wouldn't have gotten my life back that I know of. I don't think so. I don't know. Robin, you think you would have gotten your life back without that diet?
Absolutely not. No way. No way.
No way. Well, I discovered the diet back in the 90s, and it saved my life. Now, a lot of people, you know, this diet is different than any other diet in the world. And no other diet is acceptable. We'll do it. This diet's got 3 stages. Stage 1 is very limited as to what you can eat. Very easy to make mistakes. And when the diet kicks in, now that's the key. You know, people can go on this diet and you can be rigorous with it, to the T with it, and may not get any results. I don't know what the percentages are. Whether that might be 10% or 80%, I don't know, you know. But let me say that you can be on this diet to a T and not have it kick in. Now, so I always used to say at the beginning, do the diet. All right, well, that's not good enough. It's make the diet work, because we know that people who do what they need to do to make it work, the results are phenomenal. When the diet kicks in, this is what it's like. You feel like you're cured. Really. You feel new. You sleep. No itching, no biting. Minimal, if any, minimal. And many people have mistakenly thought they were cured. Well, you go off that diet for a few days and bang, you know, the word cure goes out the window. You were managing it. That's what you were doing. You were managing things for a few days. There is no cure to Morgellons or Columbella or mites or any skin parasite. There's no cure that is known. We talk about the various cofactors that interfere and cause problems that we want to deal with, but there is no cure. So the diet's got 3 stages. Stage 1 is very strict. And we're going to talk about some of the things people do to get the diet to kick in a little while, because that's important. I mean, if the diet doesn't kick in, it's just a waste of time, you know, and having a strict diet, you know, with nothing to show for it. I mean, like, most people go on diets to get rid of weight. You know, it's like going on a strict diet and gaining weight, you know. Why use the diet if you don't get the results? So this is not about losing weight, although many people do get rid of excess weight when they go on this diet, because many people, last week we talked about Candida albicans, and it's prevalent today like never before. I experienced it, I don't know, like 40 years ago when I was addicted to Dunkin' Donuts, and the organisms overran my body, and so we talked about that last week. But you know, what this diet is about, it's the #1 diet for dealing with Candida albicans, of course, but this is the diet about dealing with skin parasites. How does it work? Well, I don't really know. I don't know. All I know is that when I began and just experimented, I just pulled one food out of the air. It was breakfast. I started the day and we had eggs, and I just ate eggs with nothing, no butter, no nothing. And, I didn't notice any activity after I ate those eggs. And then from there on, keeping a detailed diary, developed stage 1 of the diet. Now, as you diminish the symptoms diminish. And you notice I kept the scale. On my scale, 6 was as bad as it could get. That was like itching and scratching and feeling biting and, ready to jump into a scalding bath for some kind of relief. It was 0 to 1, that was great. It was like, hey, symptom free. Now, I'm not saying to disregard your environment. Just don't want to make that caution. The diet doesn't just work by itself. Disinfecting the environment is substantially important, and we've talked about that many times. But without the diet, it doesn't do any good to disinfect the diet. The environment, because you and I. Well, you are, perhaps, or maybe you got where I am, or you're not anymore, but when I was infected, I was a walking, talking, breeding skin parasite machine. That was a reality. That's what, and they were breeding in me, multiplying, and I was spreading them to the environment. So the environment is important, but without the diet. So for some reason, somehow, one lady once who was into research postulated that it's a low phosphate diet, and for some reason that's why it works. Well, I don't really know. And it's, as I said, it's not a cure, but stage 1 is very strict. And if you are really good at following instructions and get stage 1 to kick in, you can move to stage 2 within a week or less. It can be that fast. Now, stage 2 doesn't add a whole lot of foods, but believe me, they are certainly welcome. Stage 1, you're limited. No starchy vegetables. In all stages, you're limited to the fats that you consume. Real butter only, no hydrogenated oils or butter substitutes, anything like that. Only rice bran oil and either lard or fat from beef. What's that called? Well, anyway, fat from so animal fat or now rice bran oil just happens to be one of the healthiest oils on the planet. It has a very high flash point. So we're not. You should know
lard.
Yeah, lard, but with beef it's different. It's called something else. They call it beef fat. Anyway, so that's your oils. Now, no other diet limits you that way. So if you have cottonseed oil, or if you have olive oil, man, or if you eat tuna with oil, boom, you're not on a diet. It's like instant. They react to that, and it feeds them. With respect to fruit, no fruit except for lime and lemon. I never really called them fruit anyway, but that's it. Lime and lemon. That's the fruit. Anything else is going to cause a problem and feed these organisms. With respect to grain, well, forget the grocery store, the general aisles in the grocery store where you buy pastries and breads, they're out. Don't even go down those aisles. So when it comes to grain, you're limited to rice, spelt, millet, and rye. Those are your limitations. That's what you're limited to. So you either have a bakery that, there's a Berlin bakery that we talked about, or there are a couple of recipes in the book where you can make your own breads with those grains. So that's pretty much it. Now, with respect to protein, just about any form of protein, like meat. No nuts in the beginning. Absolutely no nuts. No legumes or beans. No, none of that. No sprouts. So in the beginning, you're limited to, it can be turkey, it can be chicken, it can be beef, it can be pork, they're acceptable. Now, when you go to bacon, well, it has to be sugar-free. Usually, it's low-sodium bacon is the bacon that you can have. Now, I know there are a lot of people who are saying, hey, well, you should never eat bacon, you should never eat this stuff. Well, your personal preferences. We're talking about what skin parasites like and what they don't like. That's what we are here to discuss. Those of you who may be vegan or vegetarian, you can talk with Ethel, our coach, who is a vegetarian. We've talked about that many times. There are certain grains of rice that are high in protein. So there are ways that vegans can adapt the diet and still not have to deal with meats. Fish is fine, great. Just stay away from oily fish. You don't want Chilean sea bass. It's probably the worst, oiliest fish there is. So you want to stay away from the oily fish and stick with the white fish or flounder or things like that. So that's basically the diet, and it's very structured, very detailed, and then we have all the additives that they add, and then we need to look at all the supplements that are out there and what they can do, if they're compatible or not with the diet. So many supplements, they may be a very high quality supplement, they may be the most expensive in the world, but they're no good for us because they may have gelatin caps. They may have glycerin in them. They may have diglycerides, and there's a whole list of ingredients that are listed as do not have consumed in stage 1 of the diet. So you want to study the diet. It's very detailed, very structured. It's probably the most structured, detailed diet on the planet. So there's no guessing. Now, it doesn't mean that every food in the world has been tested. I don't have the palate to test all of the foods in the world. So you can, chapter 4 of the book is all about the theory behind the diet and how to use it, about the delayed response. These terms are explained. We may get into them in this call. So stage 1, very strict. And as I say, if you're very strict with it, you can, and disinfecting your environment and bathing and cleaning your skin, well, you can get on to stage 2 within a week, maybe less. And stage 2 doesn't add a lot of foods, but oh wow, wouldn't you love to have a nice green apple, a Granny Smith apple? Wouldn't you love to have a banana after having nothing but lime and lemon for a week or so? Yeah. Wouldn't you love to have some walnuts after, well, that's stage 2. So we don't expand, there are not a lot of foods that we do add, but they are wonderful to add. And that's stage 2 of the diet. Now, why is it that you can advance from one stage to the next and have no problem? I don't know. I don't know how it works. That's just with my experience, and that's what set up the diet. And then after, how long do you need to be on stage 2 before you go to stage 3? Well, I don't know. It could be months, it could be years. And the good news is that stage 2, like I said, it doesn't add a lot of foods, but they make life so much more pleasurable. How did you find stage 2, Robin? I can't hear you. Can people hear me? I can hear you.
I muted myself, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love stage 2, and right now I'm testing and adding stage 3 foods and going back and forth between stage 2 and stage 3. But stage 2 is my like base. There's so much you can eat, and yeah, I love it. It's wonderful, and it's plenty of choices. So, you know.
Yes, and there are a lot of people who do really say that the diet isn't that much different than what they've already been eating, which is great. But then again, we get people who, you know, well, I'm a sugar freak, and I'm addicted to carbs. Well, then it's going to become somewhat of a challenge. Then you need to make a real big decision. Do I want to itch or do I not want to itch? Because if you want to keep itching, well, stay on that. Don't go on this diet. If you want to stop itching, you need to be serious. You don't go on this diet for a day or two and expect that it's going to be miraculously over. It's not a pill that you take that ends things forever and ever. You know, it's a process.
And what I found, I mean, I can eat a lot of things now. I can eat fruit in moderation. Like I had a peach the other day. I can have strawberries in moderation. I can even have like certain kinds of candy bars, which I don't do often. But I found that if I go way off into stage 3, it's not so much that I get itchy, but because I'm still dealing with somewhat of a house infestation. My skin is like clear, but if I go far off the diet, I attract the parasites and the bugs in my house. And then I have to clean my skin much harder than what I normally have to do, and that's really interesting. You know, and it took me a while to recognize that even that is tied to the diet.
Right. Yeah, that's also discussed in Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is important, very important. There's a delayed response. Like you can be totally free, and you can have. I remember it well. It was many years ago. I was totally free. We had a Christmas party. There was chocolate cake. Oh, I love chocolate cake. And I had one piece of chocolate cake, and there was no problem. And the next day, well, I had another piece of leftover chocolate cake, and there was no problem. And then within 7 days, it was all hell broke loose, and I was back to the beginning again. I did test this diet personally myself. I was on stage 1 for 90 days just to see if it was a cure. No, as soon as I went off and started eating normally, within days, it was all back to, you know. So it is not a cure. Can never expect it to be a cure. And keeping a diary is very important. So that's how the diet was discovered, by keeping a diary, writing down everything I ate and when I ate and everything I drank, and watching every supplement that I put into my mouth, and checking the ingredients on those supplements is how I figured out what the diet is. So if you are wondering whether or not, say, okra is on the diet, I don't know. So get the idea, do it the way I did. Get to where the diet is working for you and you are down around 0 to 0.5 on your itch scale, and then add okra. And then have it the next day. And it may take a couple of days, and if you have a reaction, then look back, oh yeah, I added okra 2 days ago, and look, I'm reacting to it. So it's not an easy diet to figure out. It takes a lot of analysis of your journal. Now, the diet is effective for basically, I'd say 90 to 95%. It's right on, targeted right on. But there are the 5%. So let's talk about what to do to make the diet kick in. Because there is a possibility, maybe 5%, is that, for instance, there might be one thing that's on the diet, okay for 95% of the people, but not okay for you. That could be black coffee, for instance. Now, when it comes to coffee, you know, there's also a thing called making a mistake on the diet and assuming that all black coffee is good, but if you find out and you buy Starbucks coffee and read the ingredients, you'll find that it is soaked in oils. And those oils, believe it or not, are enough to cause a problem, and you're not on the diet. Salt is on the diet, but if you read the label on diamond salt, you'll see it's got sugar in it. So it is necessary, important to read labels and make sure. But all that aside, maybe could be that black coffee is not on the diet for you, even though you've gotten organic black coffee with no ingredients in it that could be a problem. Now, could be spelt. It could be rice. So if the diet is not kicking in, this is where you want to keep. You don't want to just say, oh, well, I tried that. It didn't work. Hey, the diet works. It's your job to make it work, and then you can be a success like Robin is, like I am. I eat anything I want. I'm on stage 3. I eat everything I want. I can have olive oil, but not every day. I can have French fries at McDonald's. I don't go there, but I'd rather go to Wendy's. Hey, I can eat anything I want. You can get there just as I am. And hey, I've dealt with Morgellons, I've dealt with Columella, I've dealt with Strongyloides cervicalis, I've dealt with chronic Lyme disease, skin fungus. So, hey, I'm not just sitting in some ivory tower telling you what you ought to be able to do. I've done it. And there are others that have done it as well. So the thing is, don't just do the diet, make the diet work. So that's number 1. Keep a diary. If the diet isn't kicking in, keep a diary and then experiment. One lady found out that she could have rice. I don't remember exactly whether it was in the morning or not, but she could have rice at one time of day, but not at night, okay, or in the evening. So those are the kind of idiosyncrasies that you want to look for. So it's important that, if you're on this program and you haven't had the diet kick in, that you're making some notes right now. Now, another thing to make the diet kick in. I've been reinfected over the years maybe 5 or 6 times. So out of maybe 30 years, I've been totally and completely free of them, perhaps maybe 10 years. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to get to the first stage of freedom. So if anybody thinks that you're going to get cured and you're not going to ever get them back again, we've had talks about this before. On an email a couple days ago, warning, seasonal change warning. That's the biggest time that you can get reinfected. When's the last time you wore your fall clothes? It was a year ago. Now, were you totally free at that point? Did you have no symptoms? Were the clothes that you put away, were they disinfected totally and completely free? Well, gee, I don't remember. You put on one item of clothing, and within 15 minutes, all hell breaks loose, and you're back at stage 1 of the diet within a few days. It can be that fast. So we can be reinfected from a different number of things anytime throughout the year, including, maybe the salon you go to, somebody went there recently and was infected, and the tools are infected, and they don't know it yet, and you get reinfected. You can get reinfected anywhere. You can get reinfected out in your yard. I can get reinfected walking in my yard because they're in my environment. I'm attuned to it, and I know what to look for, and I don't wait 2 weeks or 10 days before I do anything about it. If I go out in my yard and I come in and I notice a little itching, boom, the nature's gift is right there. Or I'll do something about it. And instead of it being a life-altering event like it was 30 years ago, it's a blip in my life, a blip. So they don't have to be any more than a blip. We're not going to get rid of them in the universe. They're there. They're a part of the universe. We need to learn to live with them and not be consumed by them. All right, back to making the diet kick in. What's the next step? I remember one time I was doing the diet. I was, and I was sitting at my desk at work, and I had a bottle of Max 1 in front of me. I don't know why it was there, but it was there. and we were about to have a company lunch, and I was feeling itchy, and I was saying, why isn't this diet kicking in for me? You know, why? You know, I'm doing everything right. For no reason, I took an extra capsule at Max 1. You know what happened, Robin?
It helped.
Within 10 minutes, boom. It's that fast. Many people have said Max 1 is integral to their success. And that's like saying air is integral to your success.
That's right.
Because water is also integral to your success. And food is integral to your success. And so is glutathione, which Max 1 contributes to creating in your body. So boost your glutathione. That's easy to do. I talk about it all the time. Hey, I was just reading through some of the 5G reports that Andrea put together. I've got a couple of them coming out, which are phenomenal. The effects of 5G. But don't talk just about 5G. Let's talk about the effects of EMF. EMF, it could even be solar radiation as a form of EMF, depletes glutathione in your body. It's one of the many things that deplete glutathione. We are glutathione deficient. So boosting glutathione is a no-brainer. You know, the irony, though, is these experts, Dr. Klinghardt, everybody who talks about these health problems, don't ever think about boosting glutathione. I don't understand it. Lyme disease, they don't think about boosting glutathione. I don't understand it. It's a no-brainer. They need to go to elementary school of nutrition and study glutathione. Half the stuff they do is not unnecessary if you boost glutathione. Well, anyway, that's one thing to boost glutathione. I mean, to have the diet kick in, is by boosting your glutathione. Now, just real quick, Max 1 is not glutathione. It is not the glutathione molecule. Do not go to the health food store and buy reduced glutathione or any kind of glutathione product. Glutathione is a large peptide, tripeptide molecule that the stomach thinks is food and breaks it down. So only a small percentage is going to get into your body to do any work from that kind of supplementation. Plus, the extra ingredients in it are going to feed the parasites. So, okay, Max 1 is not cheap. It's about $70, $75 in our store. Anywhere that's the price, no matter where you get it. You can get reduced glutathione maybe for $17 or $18 in the health food store. But the Max 1 is bonded D-ribose and L-cysteine, two very important supplements. So it gets past the stomach into the cell. And in the cell, the D-ribose feeds the mitochondria, which are the fuel cells in the cell. That's the furnaces of the cell. They're actually viral in nature. And the L-cysteine contributes to the building of glutathione. It's the limiting molecule. So we have glycine, glutamate, and L-cysteine, and we have glutathione, which does amazing things in the cell. So it is not glutathione. It boosts your glutathione levels as much as 270%. Boom. The thing you get over the counter might boost it 15 or 20%. All right? So you got to take about, I calculated it once, about 17 of these to be equivalent to one capsule of Max 1. So now we also have nanoglutathione in the store. You put it under the tongue and then keep it there. But you have to spit it out because it has orange oils and some other oils which may feed the parasites. that the nanoglutathione can be also used on sores. You can apply it to lesions and help cure them as well. So boosting glutathione is a good thing to do, an important thing to do, and helps kick in the diet. Now, the next step would be to look into, in Chapter 6, there are about 10 different medications that are listed. These are medications that have been reported to me by people such as you over the years that, hey, once they started those medications or whatever, they found that the diet was easy, kicked in. It helped the diet kick in, helped the diet work. The top one is listed as ORAP or Permissible, and there are side effects, so sometimes the prescription for that through your doctor or through our doctor is important to help the diet kick in. There are 9 other alternatives. There are 2 of them that are listed as well that are over-the-counter antihistamines, Claritin D, and there was another one that's also listed. I don't remember that one. Over the years, we've come to realize that these ones that work have some kind of impact on dopamine levels in the brain. And we learn through laboratory studies, reported studies, and PubMed that these medications, such as ORAP, diminish dopamine uptake in the brain and have anti-parasitic value. So they're not, I mean, yeah, some people say, well, they're antipsychotic. I mean, ORAP is used with Tourette syndrome, which is a jerky syndrome and spouting phrases from one's mouth. It's used for that, but it has another purpose, and that is anti-parasitic. That, the psychiatrists haven't figured that out yet. They still think they're treating a mental disorder. They think they're using it to treat delusions of parasitosis. That's where the psychiatrists are still at. They think these drugs work because they are working to treat delusions, which is a psychological order. They don't realize that there's a dopamine interaction going on there and a relationship that is working with it. So these medications can help the diet kick in. And it's important, they practice medicine because you have to have trial. Maybe the side effects from ORAP are not good for you and leave you groggy and you can't think. Or your muscular movements can be a side effect. So we have Zyprexa, we have Neurontin, Seroquel, Abilify. So there are 10 or 11 different medications that can be utilized to help kick the diet in. There are also some medications to be wary of that people have reported have been a problem. Typically, those medications are the ones used to treat ADHD or narcolepsy. And Adderall is one of those medications, and there's about maybe 10 of them. So you want to be wary of them. Now, one fellow reported that Adderall, he actually feels better with Adderall. So there's no set rule here, but the goal is to get the diet to kick in and do what you need to do to get the diet kick in because the rewards are worth it. And then more recently, within a year, our herbalist has come up with a formula of herbs to help reduce dopamine uptake that we have in our store as well, a parasite stop formula. So that is pretty much a rundown of what the diet is about. Why it works, we don't know. We just know that life is a lot simpler when it does work. I am not providing medical advice here. In fact, the AMA and FDA, well, the FDA requires me to inform you that before you start this diet or accept any of my recommendations, that you are thoroughly to discuss them with your medical doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems you're presently experiencing. The AMA is insistent that we tell you, and so am I, that me, Robin, Ethel, Anna and Nick and Megan, our coaches. We are not doctors, neither is Chris, who's our technical person here and also in the office. We're not medically trained, so we are not here to diagnose, treat, or cure or mitigate any skin disease or disease whatsoever. Our purpose is strictly educational. We are allowed to educate you on how to use the diet, how to clean your skin, how to clean your environment, and what supplements that are compatible with the diet to build health and immune functioning. That's what we are allowed to do, and that's what our intention is, to do that and stay strict with those guidelines. So that pretty much wraps up the talk I had about the diet. Robin, you have anything to add to that?
Well, we were talking earlier before the program started, and Anna was saying how she wasn't using spelt flour because she thought all spelt flour had sugar in it, because she had bought a spelt flour that had sugar in it. And it's so important to, just because you find, just like, you know, salt with sugar in it, stevia with sugar in it, of one kind or another, you have to read ingredients. It doesn't mean that all of it is bad. It means that brand is not what you want. So that's really important.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, it used to be that boar's head ham and oven gold chicken was on the diet, and I've come to find out that I guess over the years they've changed their ingredients and we've had to take them off the diet.
But Dietz and Watson now has a turkey breast and roast beef that have no sugar and no bad ingredients in them. That's
wonderful. So that will be added to the diet. It hasn't been, that information has not been added to the diet yet. Yeah, you know, the thing is, you know, there's this fellow, there are so many videos on YouTube about Morgellons, and what's this fellow's name, Howard, somebody, he's very technical, and he talks about the Morgellons, and actually he claims that Morgellons is a fungal organism. I put a comment on, you know, but he talks about being crystalline. So I put a comment, how can this crystalline organism have hyphae? Hyphae is like the root mechanism. It has to have a root. And a crystal, I can't see how a crystal can have a root. So how can you classify that as a fungal organism? But anyway, he basically says, you know, to deal with Morgellons, you need to just eat healthy. No meat. You know, he makes it a specific suggestion. No meat. Well, you know, these guys are out in left field. They're applying their own theories or their own. I mean, has he had Morgellons? Has he gotten through it? Has he used the diet? No. He's theoretical. He's from some ivory tower studying it. And I'm not against that, but don't go saying things like no meat. That's bullshit. You know. Now, he also says organic only. Well, I agree that organic is important, but it is not necessary. Not necessary. But on the other hand, if it's not organic, you may be exposing yourself to glyphosate. And there's no guarantee if it is organic or not, but less likely. Glyphosate is Monsanto's devil of this country, of this universe, destroys gut biome, brings in all kinds of issues that complicate Morgellons, but they don't talk about that. They don't get into that because they're in some ivory tower. They haven't actually gone through the experience of suffering, fighting it, and wishing you were dead sometimes because the symptoms were so bad and life seemed so bleak.